On today's show, we finally have our review of the Wolverine. Okay, so it's finally here. We have been talking for the last 3 weeks about our favorite Wolverine graphic novels, the good and the bad and the ugly. Speaking of ugly, the guy who directed this.
That's so harsh. You don't know if he's ugly. Have you even ever seen a picture of the man?
I didn't mean to say that. I meant to say, speaking of the good, the bad, and the ugly, the guy who directed this also directed a relatively famous Western. This is what I meant to say.
I see where you were going.
Speaking of ugly, the director of this film. He directed 310 to Yuma, which you've seen?
Yes, with Christian Bale and Russell Crowe. It was a modern Western. And it got me into Westerns.
Yeah?
It's great.
I was meaning to check that out. I remember, at the time that came out, I used to go to the video shop with my dad a lot. And he just didn't like Westerns, so he never watched it.
My parents didn't like Westerns either, so I kind of never got to see them. But
anyway, so this is set in Japan, and if you've been following our episode, we know that Wolverine is very closely connected with Japan. It is sort of loosely based on the Frank Miller, Chris Claremont story. Some elements from that, some elements from different Wolverine mythology.
Here, there's, and everywhere.
Yeah, bits and pieces. And it, probably the right at the beginning of the summer, you would have probably said this is the one that you sort of least. This is the one, because the X-Men films, latest ones were so bad. It was not First Class, but the what's his name? His trilogy,
Singer's
trilogy, and then the Wolverine origin story was terrible.
Yeah.
So coming to this, possibly not very high expectations. How did you feel about this film after that long and convoluted intro?
I know, and I feel like you were venting a lot about your expectations.
Possibly.
I went into it with fairly high expectations for this. James Mangold, I really like as a director, and I'd read a lot of him saying, we're taking it more seriously. This isn't going to be an Origins case. This is going to be, the Wolverine story.
That sounds strange to me that he would say that.
Maybe not in those words, but along those lines. This has been an interesting year so far because you've hated both the big superhero films that have come out, and I've loved them. And I'm interested to see if that continues for you, because it definitely continues for me.
Okay.
I really, really enjoyed the Wolverine. There are problems with this film. I'm going to start off by saying that. There are a few kind of cliched moments in it. The amount of times in the opening half an hour we have Wolverine going, that's not who I am anymore. Like, there's only so many times they do it, we just like, yes, you are. Get over it. That gets a bit annoying.
Yes, you are. No, I'm not. Yes, you are. No, I'm not.
It's just continuing until like the last half an hour of the film. They're like, okay, yeah, I am. Yay. It's the plot towards the end becomes very standard. You know where it's going, what's going to happen. Villains in this film, again, nothing special, fairly generic, but they're not the focus in this. The focus is about Wolverine and his kind of struggles with his own beliefs and personality, and the struggle within. And on that note, I think they did a really good job. I think the action scenes in this film look great. Like, this is finally the Wolverine film I wanted to see as far as action goes, because he stabs so many people, and you get to see at least half of them
in a roundabout way.
A lot of them are kind of like the cameras here and people being stabbed here. But I saw one guy get stabbed.
Cuts.
I saw one guy get stabbed in the heart, and I was like, "That's awesome." If they're doing all the fast cuts and all the the shaky cams and stuff to disguise it, that's fine, because I still get the essence of it, and that's more than I've had in any of the films.
It's true.
So I was really happy on that part. I think Hugh Jackman brought his absolute A game. The character's changed slightly. Like, there's been either voice change or, the character's definitely changed. It's less, this is a comic book film, and it's more, I'm a person. Like, I am an actual person in a universe. It's still very comic booky, and it's still very heavily action orientated and all that, but Yeah, no, overall, I really enjoyed this film. I had a great time with it. And my only other complaint, bone claws.
Yeah.
Let's stop with the bone claws. I don't need them. I don't need them. Also, there is an after credit scene. Fox don't normally do them. It is by far the best part of the film. By far the best part of the film. It's so good. So, Dan, I suspect your review is going to be very different. So, surprise me.
Okay, let's start with this.
We're not going to surprise me.
This film is ridiculous.
There you go.
Like,
this is why I went first this time.
It is ridiculous. Keeping with tradition of X-Men films, like, it starts off and I'm like, alright, yeah. I was like, oh, that's nice. We've got a boat. We've got, there's a, there's some early...
It's on a boat.
There's some early stuff in, the forest. He's got a beard. I'm like, alright. I can get behind this.
It's an AM radio. It's good.
Alarm bells start going off when our first Asian actress is introduced.
Oh, wow. That's like 5 minutes into the film.
And this woman's not a woman that can act very well. So I'm just like, oh, all right, but maybe she won't be in here for long. But that was my first alarm. And I was like, no, we've been spoiled so far, so let's just ignore that.
It's fine.
There is a moment about 20 minutes into this film.
Is this when you looked at me in the cinema?
It is an action set piece set on top of a bullet train.
It's in the trailer. You do see it in the trailer.
You gotta see it to believe it, to be honest, but it is one of the most ridiculous things I've ever... It's nuts. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, it doesn't obviously make sense within the laws of physics or... It doesn't even make sense for comics. Like, it's ridiculous. It doesn't... Like, you've just gotta see it. I was just shocked. Genuinely shocked.
I'm going to interject here for that moment in the cinema where he looks at me in a moment of just pure disbelief like that. He's just like, what? My face is like this. This is awesome! He's like doing the job. Oh, it's so cool. We could not have two complete... Like, it's ridiculous, but I loved it. That was one of my favourite bits of the film. Oh my god.
So at this point, do you know what? I really enjoyed this film.
Yay!
Because this film is ridiculous. It is. And by the way, Hugh Jackman doesn't know what film he's in. Because he's taking it very seriously. Like, this is my character, it's Wolverine, it's kind of this thing. And it's like, and it's great performance. He's in the wrong film, though, because the film's fucking stupid. But, like, once I accepted that it was stupid, and it didn't mind being stupid, then I quite enjoyed it. I quite enjoyed it for the campy...
Was it after the bullet train moment you were like, okay?
Well, no, that's it. You've hit a point there where... Nothing can be more ridiculous. The massive samurai armor, which might have put me off sort of earlier on.
I was kind of disappointed with that because I like the Silver Samurai in the comics, so it was a bit of disappointment for it to be reduced to a giant mech.
But and then they make a bit of a mistake there's a whole thing that goes on with his healing powers, and that gets resolved too quickly, I think. And there are just plenty of really ridiculous things that happen, but they happen so often that you can enjoy this for just a kind of romp. The reason I hate Man of Steel so much is that it takes itself very seriously and wants to be a proper film about real things and is still ridiculous and doesn't know it is. So like that's why the schism happens for me. But because this film is so not self-involved, so like it's literally like a Stallone or Schwarzenegger film from the 90s. You can literally enjoy it on that level. You can enjoy it because it's pompous and because it's over the top and because it's ridiculous. And, I walked out of this film thinking, I had a good time there. It was time well spent in the cinema, and that's more than I can say for Iron Man 3 and Man of Steel.
See, I think the major difference between our enjoyments of these films have been if it's trying to take itself seriously, you're just not having any of it. Whereas I think what I've gotten out of these films is a case of, well, I know you're trying to take yourself seriously, but that doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to take you seriously. I'm going to take you for what you are, and I'm going to love you for it. And that's what I've done. But the thing is,
I would never... my review stands, but like I would never have wanted this to be my Wolverine film. I would have wanted this to be
No, but
serious.
you want 18 rated.
Well, no, the blood thing. Look, the blood thing's annoying.
Not even a blood
that stuff's annoying.
Kind of...
The idea of having a Wolverine film that isn't 18 is kind of ridiculous anyway.
They did a really good job of
They did an okay job. Oh, throw them out the window, badass. Oh, another shot just to make sure he's landed in the pool.
It did not stop that initial moment being ah.
Yeah, but it's like anyway. I can get over all that stuff, but I'd love a Wolverine film that was actually serious and was shot by someone who, wanted to make a film about people. And
you were disappointed by that
Aronofsky
Aronofsky one falling for.
I wanted to see the Aronofsky one, absolutely. So, but the difference is, so I would never wanted this to be my Wolverine film, but like the fact that it is, I'm like, okay, but I'd never watch it again. I'd never go out of my way to watch it, whereas The Dark Knight, I'll watch again and again and again. That trilogy I'll watch for years to come. So ideally, they're the films I want, and they're the films that Man of Steel definitely is trying to be, and Iron Man and the Marvel films want to fit somewhere in the middle.
If you had to rank Iron Man, Man of Steel, and Wolverine, how would you rank them so far? Favorite to least favorite.
Well, my favorite definitely Wolverine. Iron Man 3, Man of Steel.
Did you ever think that would be?
No, but it's misleading because I hated the other two so. Like the thing is, people get what my review is. My review is this a good film? Technically, no. Is it well written? No. Is it well acted? In part by Hugh Jackman. The rest of the cast is pretty dire. Can you still have fun in this film if you know all that going in and you're just taking it for what it is on face value? You absolutely can.
Can I just say, really well shot? I thought it was really well shot. There were some really nice compositions in it and everything.
There were parts, there were little
There were
flashes.
a couple of moments where I went, nice full focus there, mate.
Nowhere near as what it would have been if someone like Aronofsky had shot it.
Oh, yeah. All right, fair shout.
But there were some nice moments, some nice imagery. But yeah.
Go see it?
With caution, yeah.
That's it.
After credit scene was...
Oh, stay for the after credit scene. It's, yeah.
All right, cool. So that's all from us today. Let us know what you think in the comments below. Don't forget to join us on Friday where we'll be talking about a big issue.
Yeah, and you can also tell us over on Twitter at Comic Book Show 1. We'll see you then.
Speaking of ugly, the guy who directed this